Hello everyone, welcome to our session today. We're going to be talking about all the different aspects of Quirkos Cloud, how you can use it for collaboration and teamwork, and also how you can try it for free and do the project sharing for yourself and see how it all works. So the first step is obviously to go to our website, which is www.quirkos.com. From here you'll be able to download the free trial of Quirkos. You can try that in offline mode for up to 28 days, or online mode, which basically is exactly the same software but stores the data in the cloud and allows for project sharing for a 14-day period before you get billed. And you just have to create an account to do that, and we'll go through all of that in a second. Basically, whichever version you choose, the interface is the same. So everything I'm going to show you today is applicable to both versions of the software. In fact, it's the same download, so it's very easy to get going with this. Basically, you can just go and download the software right here. If you want to sign up for the cloud version here, you can see the current licensing and pricing, and any of the links here will take you to the sign up page for the free trial. And here you can choose what kind of discount that you're eligible for, so maybe the student license, and here you can choose whether you want the static or the cloud version of the software. Now the static version, that's the offline one that stores all the data just on your computer, and it's a license that's only for your one computer. The other version is the cloud version. That will allow you to log in on any computer, and your projects will always be available there, and the data is stored on our secure cloud servers, and there's much more information about how that works on the website. You've also got a choice here for how often you want to be billed, so you can choose quarterly or annually, which has a small greater discount when you pay for a year up front, and then you can choose the currency here as well. So for 3 months in pounds or US dollars, it's $25 for the student subscription. So you'll find it's very affordable. And when you've done that, it will go through and allow you to register, and this will create the account which you will use to use with Quirkos. You need to put in a student ID here if you're claiming the student verification, and then it will take you to a page where you need to put in credit card details. Now you don't need to do that if you're trying the offline version, but you do need it for the online cloud version. But it won't bill your credit or debit card for 2 weeks. So you get 2 weeks to try it for free. You get a warning when you come to the end of that time, and you can cancel any time in the account page. And I'll show you what that account page looks like. So after you've registered, you'll be able to go to the account page on the website. Again, there's links to this from the software and from your sign-up emails and on the website itself. So just quirkos.com/account. And from there you can choose to sign in. So if I put in my email address here and then my super secret password, oops, which I can't type, I'll show you what it looks like in the account page. So the first thing about the account is it shows you here your email address and password and your name, and you can change these things here. There's also the details of the subscription here. So you can cancel your subscription at any time here. Even if you cancel it, your data will still be saved for a year on our servers. So if you reactivate at any time, you'll have access to all of your data again. You'll be able to get straight going. There's also the billing information here, which you can change if you need to, change your credit card or the billing address. But you also see across the top here, there's the list here of projects. And this shows you all the projects that you've got that you've uploaded and used on the cloud. On the cloud, there's no limit to the number of projects that you can have, the number of people that can share a project. We don't have any limitations or restrictions like the other software does. When you sign up for the cloud, it's unlimited use. You see I've got quite a lot of projects here that I'm using for testing. You've also got the option to download here. So anywhere where you can log in, you can download the project file, and then you can use that with Quirkos in offline mode. That's particularly handy if you know you're going to be away from the internet for a while, if you're going on some kind of retreat or holiday or something like that. So the other option you'll find here next to the projects is the share button. And with that you can choose whether to share the project with other people and how many you want to share it with. So this project, it says not currently shared, but I'll choose share with, and then I'll share it with myself, I think. I've got another one here, and I'll click on share. And so you just need the email address of another user who you're working on Quirkos with. And so here we've given this person read access, but we can also just change it to write access as well. So if we wanted to just someone to be able to view the project but not actually work on it and collaborate, then we can change it here. And these changes appear immediately in the project. So as soon as you click on this in the account page, that'll get updated for the person on the other end. There's also no limit to the number of people you can share the project with, so you can keep adding more and more people here, and that will just let you share with a large team or group of people. It's only the person who owns the project that can share the project. So if somebody shares a project with you, you can't go on and then share it with someone else. So it is possible for you to create a copy of the project, and then you can share that with other people, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But generally it's for obvious reasons, the person who owns the project, controls the project, gets to control who shares it. So that's the basics of how the accounts work in Quirkos and how the projects work. Now at the moment you can't actually work on the projects yourself on the web page. You need to go to our website and download the client, so the software that you actually install on your computer. And if you didn't do this already, you'll get a link when you sign up. You just click on Get Quirkos here and download, and you can download this for Windows, Mac or Linux. And again, it's identical across these, and you can share projects between any operating system. It doesn't matter what other kind of version of Quirkos that somebody is using. When you've installed it on your computer, you'll get a login screen like this. And there's two options here. So the first option is to sign in with your cloud account for Quirkos Cloud, but the other option is to for working offline, so continue with local storage, and that's for the non-cloud account. So if you want to work again with the static license, that's only just a one-off fee. For people who are using the older versions of Quirkos, that's exactly how they'll usually work. But you've got the options here to manage your account, and that will take you to the account page here. If you forget your password, or if you need to create an account, you skip that step in the sign up process, or if you want to manage any of the projects or the project shares, you can all do that from there. So I'm going to log in here. There's no limit to the number of computers that you can install Quirkos on and log in, so that's especially handy if you're working from lots of different computers at home, or maybe not right now, but if you're able to go back to the office or you're working remotely, that can be super helpful. Great. So this is the basic layout in Quirkos once you get into a project. On the left side of the screen, these are all the codes, the bubbles and themes that we've created to show the data. And on the right side of the screen, this is where we've got the text, the sources that we've brought in. And we can bring in the sources of text from many different types of files and different sources. You see at the very top right here, we've got this button, this plus button here. And if I click on that, we've got these options here to create a new blank source, select files. We can also create sources from clipboard. We can import from CSV, so if you've got tabulated data or from an online survey platform, you can do that as well. And you can also choose an entire folder of sources here. So I've already brought the sources into this project, but you can bring in text files, Word files, PDF files, plain text and rich text files. So most of the major formats that you'll want, as well as PDF files, especially if you're doing something like a literature review and you're bringing in textbook chapters or journal articles which are in PDF format. But the import source from clipboard is also super useful, because if you've got something like a web page or a journal article that's on a web page, it's very easy to just copy and paste and create a new source directly from that. When you've brought in your sources of data, you'll see that you've got these three tabs across the top, and these allow you to go between the different sources in the project. And this little button on the left, this gives you a list of all the different sources which are there. Now we've also got this little tab here, which is for the source properties, and those are for the different ways that we can categorize the sources of data. So if we click here on the plus button, we can create a new property here. Now these can be used in very different ways depending how you want to sort your data and what kind of data you had. If you're doing a literature review, you might use this for bibliographic data, like the journal or the year, but you may also choose to have basic information about participants here. So you can see we've already got gender, occupation, and voted. So we might also have location, and let's say Edinburgh for this person. And then that creates what's called a property, and the property is the location. So that's basically the category that we want to use to sort the data. And then there's a value below it. In this case, that's Edinburgh. And that's the value for our particular participant that we're looking at the moment. And if we go to one of the other sources here, we create another one. So we'll create location and then Glasgow. And then we can use these. These are super useful because we can use these in the future to filter the results. So we can see very quickly anyone with the location of Glasgow or a particular job, or you can even combine these. So I'll show you how we would do that in the query view, because this is super useful once you've done the coding. So if you click on the query view button here, basically this allows you to run queries, which you can use to kind of filter the data through any of the different sources of categories that we have in the project. So for example, we've got gender here as a source property. So we can do a search where gender equals female, and this will give us the results just from the women in the project. But we can also choose something like the highlight author. So if we're working as part of a team, this is probably, I'm not sure we've got anyone. Yeah, okay. So we've got multiple people who've contributed coding to this project. So Daniel and Simon. And when we're working collaboratively, this is super useful because it allows us to see the differences between how different people have coded. So what I can do is click on the comparison query view mode here, which splits the screen in half. And then we can choose, so we've got highlight author equals Daniel, and we'll have highlight author equals Simon. I'm not sure if Simon's actually done any coding on this project, but we'll see very quickly. Yes, they have. Okay, right. So we've now got a side-by-side comparison of the coding that was done by two of the different people. And we can see straight away that, for example, so both of them are coding most to the negative theme. So it looks like people are putting out a lot of kind of negative quotes here. Clicking on any of these buttons here will actually load the data. So it's showing us here the quotes. So this is everything Simon said that was negative. What we can see quite quickly with this comparison, which is in descending order, is that basically it looks like Daniel and Simon are probably coding in similar ways. I'm saying that just because they are basically pretty much, with a few kind of exceptions, coding the same kind of quantity of codes to the same themes. So if we look on the coding, both of them are coding mostly to negative and positive, so doing a lot of sentiment analysis and about the referendum, the SNP. So the things that we kind of expect them to be coding at the same rate. But of course with qualitative analysis, we don't want to really rely on that kind of quantitative metric. We want to look at the codes and see, is Daniel using the positive code in the same way that Simon is? And we can do that actually by using this view and clicking and looking through the different sources, through the different codes, and seeing how they're describing it. And that's really important when we're doing this kind of collaborative coding. Now we can also look to see what codes they created. So that's the Quirk author. And if we run that, I'm not sure whether Simon created any here, but we'll be able to see pretty quickly. No. So this is a pretty classic example where basically a framework was created beforehand to code with. That was created by Daniel and then shared with Simon. Although Simon contributed coding to the project, he didn't create any new codes. So this is, again, good to check that they've been coding in the right way. But if you're doing something like grounded theory, and if you have people either coding the sources in the same themes or creating new themes as they go along with grounded theory, then you'll be able to see what kinds of different codes different people created, whether those codes might have been equivalent, but they just called them something different, or if they are able to basically bring those codes together. So they've been looking for different topics, but it's worth keeping them all. And that's one of the things that I always try and stress when I'm doing group seminars on collaboration using Quirkos Cloud, is that although Quirkos tries to make all of those things very simple, the process of doing qualitative analysis through collaboration is about as much as managing people as it is actually the data and the software. You need to make sure that all the people working on the project know what their role is, what they should be coding, and they need to know things like what the codes should be and what they represent. Now, if you look here, this is not a very good project from that point of view, because you'll see, for example, we have this negative theme here. It's not really clear what that means. We've not put a description in here, which would be really useful for multiple coders, so they understood what they were supposed to code. Often you have a coding guide. You'll create a kind of a framework document to help multiple people when working on a project, so that they understand what their obligations are and what they're expected to do. So here, for example, we can put a description in the property. So we can have negative, and we can say the description to code every time someone says something negative sentiment. So that might make it's pretty obvious in this case, but it may make it more clearer. And then when you hover the mouse over that code, you'll see the full description there of what they're trying to say. And so one of the different ways that you might collaborate is you may have different people work on different sources. So you'll see in this project we've got about 12 different sources here. You can see with this percentage here how much of them has been coded. And one of the things you might do is basically divvy up the sources. So if you've got a lot of sources that's going to take a long time to code, you may say, okay, well, you take 6 of them, I'll take the other 6. And you need to at least decide which are to be coded, but you can use the source properties for that. So you can have a source property here, and we'll call coder, and we'll have a value here for Simon. So this is one that Simon should be doing. If we go to mark source here, create a new one for Daniel. And that way, even in the software, it's very easy for us to keep track of which sources we need to work on. Now, the other way, of course, that we can do this is to have multiple coders. So for each source, we may want to have multiple people coded. That way, we're basically kind of checking how we've done the interpretation and the analysis. And when we're doing that, again, you can use the query view and you can see codes where that connects. So if we use the query view here and we have highlight author equals Daniel and highlight author equals Simon, because you can keep adding these criteria to the filter here, you'll start seeing then all the times that Daniel and Simon coded together. And you can also have not. So we have highlight author equals Daniel, put in another line here for highlight author or. Right, so we've got and on one side, so this is where they work together, and this will show both of theirs. So what we want to do, I don't think there's going to be any concurrence here because of the way this project has worked. Oh, okay, no, that's what we expect, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah, basically, we can see that there are no instances where Daniel and Simon have agreed, where they've coded the same piece of text the same way. That's not a surprise because of how this project has been structured, but if you were doing collaborative coding in that way, then that's what you would want to use, and this tool will show you. Now, if we go back to the home view, just a couple of other things that I want to show you here. The other thing is that there's a chat function here. So this little button on the bottom left is quite a new feature in Quirkos, and it's available in the cloud and the offline mode, but it allows you to either use for yourself as a kind of log and a guide, and to talk to yourself and remember things as you go through the analysis journey, like excited to start. But you may also use this in a collaborative way. And when you're working on a project and you're working at the same time together, you'll see the updates. So you'll see people changing and coding in real time as they work on the same file at the same time. And that's one of the key advantages of the cloud version that the offline version doesn't let you do, for obviously kind of technological reasons. But you can also use the live chat. So whenever there are new messages, if someone else is logged into the project at the same time as you, this little grey chat icon will turn yellow. That shows you other people are working at the same time. And it will also flash with a white outline when there's someone else has left a message for you to read. So you can say, how are you doing? And then you can start to have discussions about the text and interpret things as you go on. But don't forget, it's not just the chat. So it can be used also as a kind of project-wide kind of memo and comment function. There's also memoing in the software itself. So we can choose here a piece of text here, drag and drop this on here. Sounds like they were not very excited. What do you think, Simon? And you can have a conversation here in a kind of meta way on top of the data with your collaborators when you're working on the project. And every time these kind of bits of text pop up in any of the kind of outputs, you'll have the memos attached to them. So that could be another useful way that the software can help you manage the collaboration process. Now, the other things are the different outputs here. So there are various different other ways that we can work with the data. So one example would be the report. I'm not going to show that right now. It's kind of a fairly standard thing. It uses basically either you can save it as a PDF file or a Word file, but it creates a report with all the data that's in the project, but it will also show you the different work done by the different people when you're collaborating on the project, and also the different things so you've got all the sources of data there, you'll have all the source properties there, basically everything from the project. But you can also export as Word documents. So if I choose this option here, we'll create Word files for all the different sources which are in the project. Here they are here. And when we do that, this is super handy because it basically creates a standard Word file, and it shows you using the comments feature in Word or any other word processing software, how it was coded and again by who. So you can share this with someone that doesn't have the software, and you can also print it out and work with it away from the screen. But it's another good way to kind of show when collaborating who's done what piece of work and how people are coding differently. And you can create these Word files for all the different sources which you have, or you can create one Word document which is all of the different sources in one long flow. So that's also a super useful tool for working and collaborating there. Now that's probably all I'm going to show today about the different collaboration options. I wanted to focus today on the different cloud capabilities. But if you have any questions, do let me know. We've got one question already. Is the software free? No, I'm afraid it's not. There is a free trial, and you can get that by going to quirkos.com. So you can use it for 28 days in offline mode for free. But there's also the possibility to have the trial version of the cloud as well. So that's on top of that 28-day period online. But you'll find that it is very affordable. We are the cheapest qualitative software, paid qualitative software out there. There are free and open source alternatives. We've got a blog listing some of those, so do feel free to have a look at those. But no, the software is not free. But we are able to offer, because we charge updates and support 7 days a week. So we're able to do a lot of help for people with any aspect of their project, especially if they're trying out this kind of collaboration features. So I'm just going to ask if there's any further questions, but otherwise that's everything I'm going to show today. The basics of working with the codes and things I didn't really want to get into today because that's covered by a lot of our other tutorial videos. I just wanted to focus on the collaboration features here today and how the cloud works. But the best way to get familiar with it is to try it out for yourself. So do go to the website, download the free trial, watch some of the YouTube videos and you'll get a good idea of how it works. They're all available for free on our channel. And if you have any questions, you can always just drop us an email at support.quirkos.com, and we're always here to help you with anything you like. So thanks for coming along to the session today. I hope this has been helpful. We have one every month. We've got a new version which should be out by the end of this month. That's going to greatly improve some of the collaboration and performance features. So at the moment we only have one server for the cloud software, which is in London, and soon we're going to have these globally, and that's going to make things a lot faster for a lot more people because they'll be physically a lot closer to their data, so the application will be a lot snappier, and it also helps a lot with data protection requirements. So if you need to host the data in your own institution, you'll be able to do that, as well as make sure it's kept in your country of origin and doesn't cross any international borders. So those are just some of the exciting things coming on in the new way. We also have a question that's just come up. Is there a workshop on literature review? Yes, there is. So if you look in the video on our channels, there is a video tutorial on using Quirkos for a literature review. It's based on the older version of Quirkos, but all the principles are the same. Let me just have 1 second and I'll see if I can find the link for that. And I can put that in the chat. But if you have any other questions, please let me know. Got it. Okay. So I hope this works, but there's the link to the YouTube workshop on using qualitative analysis software for literature review for qualitative research. Or for any type of research. Yeah, qualitative software, and there's more information about this on our blog as well, actually. There's a blog post about this as well. If you look on the post archive, let's see if I can find that. Review, using qualitative analysis software for literature reviews. There we go. So you'll find that on our blog as well. There's also some kind of more written description of why it's a good idea to use qualitative software for this kind of work. So yeah, do feel free to have a look there, and you'll find across the internet lots of other resources. So hope that's helpful. Okay, I think that's all the questions we have. Thanks so much for engaging, and do get in contact, as I said, support@quirkos.com if you have any questions, and do give the trial a try, and let us know how you get on. Thanks for coming along today.